What's up, geographers? Mr. Majewski here. I'm doing a quick instructional video as to what you are doing today. Today for you will be Wednesday, October 25th. Of course, you're going to log into Haiku. You already should have done that. You're going to go to the Forced Migration Refugee page. And of course, what you are going to be doing is you're going to be working on an assignment here in the margin. Alright, so first off, can we please go to the question that you're going to be asked? It asks you to choose 2 years between 1990 and 2017 from the Refugee Project Forced Migration website. That's the website that is right there directly above this prompt. Then it asks you to complete information below for each of those years. And then choose a specific crisis from both of those years to focus on. And you want to make sure you choose a crisis that has a written description. I'll show you what that means. What you need to do once you have chosen a couple of years is determine how many refugees existed that year, what were the 3 largest source countries for migrants that year, and how many were there, migrants, and 3, what 3 countries granted asylum to the most refugees that year, and how many did they grant asylum to, which is freedom. Okay, well that seems easy enough. Then we're going to zoom in and focus in on a particular country, and that is, we have to answer questions about a specific country for each of the years we've selected. What is the focus country? How many refugees were there that year? Okay. Why was there a refugee crisis in that place? What were the push factors that caused people to leave? And where did most refugees flee to, if known? And why did the crisis end? Okay. Well, this seems simple enough. Why don't we come on up to the Refugee Project? It's going to take us to an image that looks like this. We are going to click on the world map. That's going to take us to a map of the world. And what's cool here is, let's make sure you're zoomed back out to the world map if it tries to zoom you in. We see a proportional symbol map that shows you all of the refugees that were reported in 2016. And look at this. We can actually go all the way back to an earlier year if we want to and see the refugees that existed in those years too, right? What an incredible website to document these vital facts. Anyways, I'm going to go back to 2016. And remember, what it asks us to do is pick a couple of years. I think 2016 makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to stick with last year, since I want to be as up-to-date as possible for my human geography class. And remember, it asked you to indicate the number of world refugees. Well, there's where that is. About 16 million. Well, there were 16,996,088. All right. Excellent. What we would then do, right, is we would want to see the 3 countries that had the largest numbers of refugees that year. Well, we would list Syria, Afghanistan, and South Sudan. So 5.5 million, 2.5 million, 1.4 million. Those would be our 3 biggest countries. I think it also asked us, if I'm not mistaken, who accepted the most refugees, right? And so why don't we go and click on that button? And that actually shows us the countries that took in the most refugees, that granted the most asylums. So that would be Turkey, that would be Pakistan, and that would be Lebanon, and it each shows you how many each of those had as well. So right then and there, we have all of the information we need for our year just factored or calculated there. All right? Now it wants us to choose a focus country to focus in on from that year. And remember, it said it wants one with a written entry. Well, the ones with the written entries are the ones that have a little piece of paper in the middle of their circle. So how about we click on Syria, right? I highly recommend that you take a look at Syria specifically because it's so recent and it's so massive. It gives you a quick description of what happened in Syria to cause this refugee crisis, all right? So that gives you the details or the information that you need to know in order to give a 1 to 2 sentence description as to why it took place. Well, let's read it. When peace talks resumed, in 2016, President Assad's position was more secure than ever and the civil war showed no signs of ending. Okay, so we know there was a civil war going on there. That must be the source of the crisis. Government forces had regained control over much of the Damascus and the densely populated center of the country. With Russian air support, they finally recaptured the northern city of Aleppo, which had been a stronghold of the moderate opposition. The strongest rebel factions are now extremist Islamic groups like Tahrir al-Sham and ISIS, which control the southwestern third of the country. In a parallel theater on the Turkish border, Kurdish militias are fighting ISIS and the Syrian army. The Turkish government is fighting the Kurds. Okay, so there's a civil war that occurred here. and it has turned into a full-fledged war between the government of Syria and terrorist groups and rebel groups. I can read that the Turkish government is now involved, Russia is now involved in 2016 as well. Hundreds of thousands of Syrians have attempted to reach Europe by sea and land. Many have died in the attempt. All right? In fact, according to new agreements, most of these folks are going to be returned to refugee camps in Turkey if they are captured in Europe. Yikes. All right, well, that's the information I need to answer the rest. So I would click on the discussion link back on the Haiku page. It's going to take me to a comment. It's going to take me to a discussion page. Remember, I can click on discussion details to see the entire question again. I'm going to type my name under subject, and then I am going to respond. Focus country is Syria. How many refugees were there that year? I would need to go back and look again at my slide that I was just looking at. Why was there a refugee crisis? I would talk about the Civil War and the ensuing war that followed. What were the push factors? War, which is a political/cultural factor. You could talk about, that's really the big one, Civil War and war. Where did most refugees flee to? They fled to Europe. Why did the crisis end? If it has, it hasn't, right? It's still continuing to go on. It seems like at least it was as of 2016. All right, I need you to do that for not just one, but then after you finish the one, pick a second one and do that one really quickly as well. Doesn't matter what year you choose, but try to make sure it's a country. Try to pick a second country from the one that you did the first time. But you don't have to. You could always do the same country again if you needed to. Okay, Mr. M signing out. Check this out again if you have any questions about what it is you are doing.